Hi, my name is Lakeisha. Check me out on the next episode of Black Girls Den podcast. We'll be talking about mental health and work.
Happy New Year. You are now tuned into another episode of Black Girls Den podcast. But first, you already know we have announcements. Hopefully, if you are in the area of Louisville, Kentucky, you can make it to our vision board party. It is free. We have boards and light refreshments. I hope to see you this Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, let's get into the episode. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Black Girls Den podcast. I'm your homegirl, Alicia. Today, I have a special guest with me, Lakeisha. Woo! Hi. Everybody say hi. I'm so excited that you came here today on the couch to chat with me. Today, we are talking about mental health in the workplace. So, it's going to be a little heavy, little touchy topic, but this is your cozy space on the internet for us to chat and have a safe space for our voices to be heard, but sometimes our job has us feeling a little blue, so that's why I have that color today, okay? So before we get too into it though, I wanted to know, how has your mental health been better since you quit your toxic job?
Oh man, I could write a book,
period.
Honestly, about how my mental health has changed. So currently I work with my local health department, and I work in a role that I really love in suicide prevention. But prior to this job, I worked in child protective services. I worked for the state. And although I did really well in that job, I performed well, it was very, very exhausting. I went home very overstimulated most days. I tell people all the time, like, I would literally just go home and stare at a blank wall because I was so overstimulated. And so I finally reached a breaking point to where I just could not do it. I wasn't liking the person that I was becoming because of that job. And that's when I was like, I have to leave this. Even though I'm performing well, I have to leave. And now that I've transitioned to this role, like, I'm much more at peace. And it's not that the job is perfect. I don't ever have anxiety, but I'm not feeling overstimulated like I used to be.
That's good. So I'm cracking up. I would say my mental health has been better since I quit my job. The job that I quit, though, it wasn't really the job. It was more or less the people that I worked with. So I was an academic advisor. It was a lot. But I feel like the people that I worked with, like the bosses, like the supervision, our supervisors, that was like, it was like, no, I cannot work here no more. And it was just like, I have to go, like, no. So after leaving that job, my mental health was definitely better. I do like my jobs more though now too as well. And so I have like a different environment. I have like more autonomy and flexibility with my schedule and what I do. So I would say that my mental health has been better since I quit my job as well. So yeah, that's really good. Let us know what your mental health is like since you quit that job, or if you want to quit that job. And I just want to say, we are educated. Okay, we are educated women. So yes, we have to talk about our degrees a little bit, because in the next TV and T segment, we're going to be talking about somebody. So I have my undergrad in liberal studies in communications and sociology and my master's in higher education. Okay. I would like for you to share what your degrees are.
Sure. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I have a master of science in social work.
Yes, okay. What'd you say?
MSW.
Oh, yes, MSW. Okay, so we're going to be talking about like careers and, what we were doing and how that kind of affects our mental health and stuff like that. So just a little background of like what we do and kind of, what our education is in, basically. So if you are out there, Black and educated in degree, let us know in the comments, what your degree is in, or if you were in school, let us know what you want to do or what you're getting your degree in as well. So as you know, if you are a faithful listener, we do a segment called TV and T, where we talk a little bit about a TV show and we share a little bit of tea about ourselves. So today we are doing Girlfriends, and I don't think it's on the board, but it's okay. We are talking about Girlfriends, and this is season 4, episodes 17 and 18 kind of combined. So basically, Joan was unhappy because she didn't make partner, and she became really, really depressed. And she had a conversation with her boss, and she thought that she was going to get fired, but then she ended up getting a promotion, but then she ended up resigning. So that's a lot of stuff, but basically, she was feeling depressed because when she didn't get a partner, you work so hard then to not get something. And so then she's having these conversations, and a couple of people were saying that she was out of it and stuff like that. And then she was like, one of her assistants, because Maya wasn't her assistant then, they're like, oh, you look like you don't want to work here no more and stuff like that. And then she went to kind of help Lynn, and then she seen that Lynn didn't send off her letter for her fashion institute, and so she was upset about that because she's like, well, did I really want to be a lawyer? Like, was it just because I didn't get into fashion school, or like Lynn didn't even send it off? So she was having a moment about that, but I think that all in that to say, then she it was like the next episode she kind of quit. Then she worked at this hot dog stand or whatever, the wiener stand and whatever, and so she was talking about how she was performing so well and she was doing so good, and she like made her job her everything. And so I feel like sometimes that can kind of affect your mental health when you make your job your everything, you're doing everything, and then you work so hard and then you don't get what you have wanted to achieve. And so it just kind of is a domino effect with everything in your life. And so that's kind of how we wanted to kind of frame and chat about this I would say topic kind of in this format. So if you haven't seen that episode, you can go check it out, but wait till after you see this. Wait till after you listen. But if you have listened to it or watched it, let us know in the comments. I'm going to ask some questions. We're going to chat about it, and you can answer in the comments as well. We'd love to see what your answers are. So you kind of answered this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to know maybe something else probably. How did you notice when work was affecting your mental health? Stress, sleep, or anxiety?
Yes, definitely what you just mentioned, anxiety. I would, even on the weekends, not be able to rest because I would be thinking about everything that I have to do at work. Once 8 o'clock comes, like Sunday evenings were just like moments of dread for me because just thinking about everything that I have to do in the upcoming week was just making like my stomach turn every evening. And that was one of the signs. And as I mentioned, I didn't like who I was becoming. And so what I mean by that is I didn't like my attitude. I was so stressed out, overstimulated, that I just wasn't a happy person. And when I'm not a happy person, like I can't be giving and compassionate and empathetic, and I'm naturally that type of person. And so once I noticed that about myself, I was like, it's time for me to leave.
That's funny. Well, that's sad, but I understand. I would say that when I noticed that my work was affecting my mental health, like I was saying, the job was already a lot, honestly. Like if you're an academic advisor, you have meetings back to back, so it's like every 30 minutes or whatever. So I already knew the job was a lot in general. And so then it's like, okay, I have a job, and then I have to deal with these supervisors who are like rude or nasty, and like it's just like they always have something to say or always complaining. So I feel like I noticed when it was affecting my mental health was like when I didn't want to do anything, when I was just at home, or like just going to the job or like driving to work, and I'm just like crying or like mad or like, okay, I don't want to do anything. It's like, are you feeling like you're on eggshells because you're like, well, you don't know what's going to happen this time. You don't know what they're going to say. And just kind of like different things that was happening at the time, because actually I was up to like get a promotion as well too. And I ended up not getting it. Well, I think I did end up getting or something like that, but they wasn't going to give me no more money. I'm like, what the heck am I going to...
What's the promotion without more money?
Okay. So, hey, that's when I knew I really had to go. Okay. Mental health, it's like, what are we doing? I'm not doing more work for no money. So that's when I knew I had to go. All right. What boundaries do you set between work and personal life to protect your mental health?
Oh, wow. Well, I try my best not to respond to emails after 5 o'clock.
Okay.
After 5 o'clock, Lakeisha is no longer available professionally. If I'm going on vacation or I'm out of the office and I've set my email automatic replies to say that I'm not responding, don't expect a response from me. Hard stop. The only person I may respond to would be my supervisor if there's something urgent, but that's like a hard boundary that I've set, and I'm always looking for opportunities to do self-care. That's very, very important, and so that's a hard boundary for me as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's not really that hard for me to set boundaries at work because I've always had like an 8 to 5, 9 to 5. I work in higher ed, but when I was an academic advisor, they was emailing me over the weekends, baby. I had to take my email off my phone. I said, oh no, baby, the email will not be on the phone, child. I took that email off so quick, baby. And so now I just put my email back on, and with like work and stuff like that, I have my Microsoft Teams, but for a long time I didn't have my email on my phone because I had like 600 students, and just think about it, like if they're emailing you, it's just like your phone is blowing up and stuff like that. And so I was like, baby, the email is off the phone, okay? I was like, I also turned that thing off. My second job, I didn't put that email on for a long time, but it was a totally different thing, but I had to still like get used to it. I was like, oh no, like I cannot have email on my phone. So I feel like that, and kind of to your point, is like I don't really check my email like in the morning until like it's time to go to work, like 9 o'clock. I don't really check my email. I do have Teams sometimes, it's for like updates and stuff like that, but I don't really check my email until it's time to go to work. I feel like it's hard to kind of have like a lunchtime and stuff like that, so sometimes I like make a boundary, like okay, I'm going to take a lunch, or like I'm going to do that, because sometimes you just kind of work, or it's not really like set in stone. So when I was an advisor, you had to be like, oh okay, take lunch at like 1 or 2, but now like in my current jobs, it's kind of like you take a lunch whenever you want. I'm like, well, when do y'all take lunch? What time is lunchtime? Baby, I need my break. Like, so I feel like my lunchtime is like my self-care, my reset time. Like I need that time, but it was really hard in my other job because students could just come in whenever. I'm just like, I need a break. Yeah. So I'll say those are the couple of things that I do. Career identity versus self-worth. Like, how do you separate them?
That's a good question. I think that's part of the reason why I try to have a full life. And what I mean by that is I am not just what I do for work. Period. Like I have so many other things that I'm involved in outside of work that fulfill me, that give me purpose. And so I have an identity that's outside of what I do as a profession. And it's something that I feel like even if I didn't have my 9 to 5 job, I would still find purpose in the things that I'm doing, so that I'll never get to a place where I feel hopeless, where I feel aimless, where I feel like Joan felt in the episode, where she felt like she really didn't have like connection to her work. I don't want to be in that place. And so I always have something I'm doing like in community that I'm passionate about.
Oh, that's good, because Joan, she didn't know what to do. She was cooking every day. And they're like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like, she didn't know what to do. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes, because we can even lean into this too, sometimes, Joan was trying to get married and have kids or whatever. And it's like, how we talking about when you get older, that's kind of your natural progression. But she ain't had no man, she ain't had no kids. She just like, I got to find another job. I got to find, baby, you have money. She talking about she said it for a year. You know what I'd be out there? Not cooking. I'd be chilling, okay? But sometimes, even as Black women, even as women in general, like, if we feel like we don't have time to rest, it's just like we gotta find something else to do or whatever. And it's like, even I just hosted a dinner event, right? But I was like, what are y'all hobbies? And like a lot of people were like, oh, we don't have hobbies. I'm like, huh? I have hobbies. And it's just like, we don't even think, like, she wasn't like, Joe was like, I'm gonna go play tennis. The girl wouldn't get another job. It's just like, we don't have hobbies. And I think that's something that people should kind of focus on, to have self-worth, because if it's just your job, and I feel like that's kind of just like the nature in capitalism. I'm not just my job. I'm everything outside of my job, honestly. Honestly, my job, what they say on the show, is compensation. They say it's compensation. Like, you have to look at your job as it's compensation. Like, that you can be passionate about it all day long, but like, you have to do stuff outside of your job. So what I do for myself, that is like what my self-worth is tied into. And I feel like that's kind of how you separate them. You can still have a career, but it's not your identity. But I think so many like Black women, their career is their identity.
Oh yes. And I mean, there's a whole conversation that we could have around Black identity, capitalism, which you just mentioned, misogynoir, around the reasons why so many of us find value, esteem, in our professions. But I do agree with what you mentioned about how important it is for people to have hobbies, things that like give them joy outside of what they do for work.
Yeah, definitely. So I feel like I separate my career and work. I guess it's kind of together, it's kind of the same, but I separate it as in like what you're saying, like after 5, baby, I'm not sending an email. Okay, baby, I'm working on my own stuff. This podcast, like I'm working on getting guests. Like I have something outside of this to do, but that's what I like. How we were just saying, if you don't have anything outside of it to do, it's easy to respond to an email. Then it's easy to go research something. It's easy to go on LinkedIn. Child, I don't go on LinkedIn unless I get an email, baby. And that's something that I done turned LinkedIn off. I turned my notifications off to like come to my phone. Like I had to go through my email. Like I'm just like, it's just over invested. Like why do I keep looking on LinkedIn? Why do I keep having to show? It's like you got to keep having to do stuff, and it's tiring and exhausting. So I make sure like on the weekends, like I do something fun. I do work a lot too, but it's like traveling. Like people are like, oh, you've been traveling a lot this month. I'm like, yeah, but I haven't traveled in so long. So it's like they see when I travel, but if I could travel every month, every weekend, you wouldn't really be seeing me at the events. Okay, like I would love to travel so much, and so I think that's kind of how I have separated my career identity to like my self-worth. I have worth in myself, and I know what I can bring, and it's just not a career. So I think that's kind of how I separate my thing. What were some signs of burnout and coping strategies without guilt? Like.
In my experience with Child Protective Services, I started to experience compassion fatigue. As I mentioned, I'm naturally a compassionate person, but I started having experiences where I just could not like bring forth that same energy to be compassionate. And I was a whole social worker. Like it's my job to be compassionate, empathetic. And once I realized I couldn't get to that point with certain clients that I had, or certain families that I was engaging with, I realized that I was doing not only a disservice to myself, but also to these families and these kids. And so that's also when I realized that I could not longer serve that capacity.
How long were you a social, like a CPS, in CPS, I guess?
So prior to the position that I had as a social worker, I actually worked in CPS as like an office support assistant. So I was doing a lot of the office duties, file management, things like that. At that time, I was in grad school, and so that was like a good job for me. Once I finished grad school, they offered me a position naturally to be a social worker. I was like, I can't really do it. They talked me into do it. I was doing that position for a good 6 months. 6 months. Yes, that's how long I lasted. The compassion fatigue, the overstimulation was too much. And so after that 6 months, I just put in my 2 weeks notice and I let them know I had to leave.
Oh my gosh, within 6 months.
6 months.
That is crazy. I mean, that's crazy that it happened so quickly. But you actually made a good point, because I just started a new job and I've been on my job for 6 months basically. And so, at certain jobs you have like a 6-month review or something like that. Well, there was like a 6 month come together, like, let's see how people have been doing in 6 months. Well, I overheard that somebody quit within like 3 months or something like that. And I didn't see the same people that I seen 6 months ago. So I'm just talking and stuff like, well, dang, I was like, what happened? Someone's like, well, the person didn't like it, so I think they left. And I was just like, period, right? Because like we get these things like, you got to be on your job for at least a year. You got to be on your job for I'm like, no, that is lies to me. Like if you don't like it, you got to go. If they don't like you, they gonna let you go. Like, and so I'm like, this whole thing, I don't even want to say that that's capitalism. That's just like work culture. Like, you got to stay at the job for a year. You got to stay at the job for 2, or like, don't let your resume look like this. Don't buy. At this point, AI is doing resumes, child. Make it look right. I'm just playing. But I'm just like, to your point, it's okay to leave a job if it's affecting your mental health. 6 months, 2 days. I'm just playing, but make sure you have a backup plan. But like, we have to know that stuff. Like, we are getting older now. We have a lot of things going on. It could be health issues. It could be life. Like, you can't just stay and be stressed out at a job that's going to affect you day to day because you want your resume to look like you're loyal to a job that's not loyal to you.
Absolutely. And I do agree that could be a consequence of capitalism, this undying allegiance to work, regardless of what the work is, just some form of production. I think that we have this like hustle culture mentality. We've been conditioned to like work as much as possible, put forth your best foot, which you should,
Mm-hmm.
but it shouldn't be to the detriment of your own health.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to say, like, I guess it's capitalism, but I don't know if, like, the resume is technically capitalism. I don't know, like, with the how many years you're supposed, like, how it's supposed to look. That's what I was trying to say. It's definitely capitalism to get to the bag. I just don't know if it relates to the resume and why they don't like that. I don't know, because if I could do a gap year, child, it's gonna be a gap year. I was out traveling, and then people say, like, oh, they really done it. Like, you can really do different things. So also, if you want to take a break and you want to take a gap year, go ahead and do that. Do that for me, because baby, I will watch anything. Okay, I will watch you. I will support you, because, like, we can even talk about that. Like, sometimes you need a break. So sometimes gap years, gap months, like, people do it all the time. And so I don't want people to be like, oh, I have to work now. Granted, if you have to work, you have to pay your bills. But, like, if you have the opportunity to take a gap year, a break, like, do that. Like, see the world. We're proponents. See the world, okay? Like, baby, see the door, okay? See whatever you need to see if it ain't a job. That's all we just saying. Like, that's how I feel. You have anything else to say about that one?
No, I agree with you. If people have the opportunity to travel, see the world, take it. I think that not only is it good just to have a release, but also it opens you up. It opens up your mind. You're able to see how other people live.
Yes.
And think about the world, and it changes you.
It's an exposure really does change you in general.
Yeah.
How do you handle working in toxic work environments?
I think really blessed that I have not had too many experiences with toxic work environments, but I did have one that gave me a little bit of bad vibes a couple of years ago. I won't mention the exact location, but it was a place that I just grew to have great disdain for. You were mentioning how some of the people that you worked with prior just weren't really good counterparts or colleagues, and I had the same feeling. It was very petty, a lot of gossip that happened, and I'm one of those people that's naturally introverted, reserved to myself, and I think in situations like that, I naturally become more focused on my work. I focus on what my objectives are. I'm here to get a check, compensation.
Okay.
And I do my best not to meddle in any of the petty gossip so that it doesn't interfere with my job.
Okay, that's really good. I would say I had experience working in toxic work environments, child. It is not for the weak, child. And so, I don't know. I'm actually a very extroverted person, and even at work, I am extroverted. But I feel like I tend to, when I am probably in a toxic work environment, you don't know who to trust, you don't know who to talk about. So it's like trying to find a trusted person to talk to. It's kind of how I deal with it. A trusted coworker, or just being introverted. Like, I just go to work and go home. Like, I just go to work, I do my job, and just don't say anything really. Just kind of just like stay out the way, I feel like. But that's not really who I am in general. So I feel like I change like what I do or something like that, or like I'm not about to be volunteering to do stuff. I'm not about to be trying to be on this committee, that committee, that like they want you to do all this stuff, and then at the end of the day, what do I get for doing that? Nothing. Like, no. So in other spots, I had another toxic job, kind of. It was like a part-time job, and they were just like kind of like playing with my hours and stuff like that. So if it's like a part-time job, like you playing whatever, baby, I'm just gonna quit. I'm gonna quit a toxic work environment. But that's why you always have like more than one job. I mean, I don't know, depending on it. I work 3 jobs, so yeah, it's a lot. But so it's like kind of, how like, like, my man got 2 jobs. Well, I got 3 jobs, so you know what I'm saying? If it's toxic, it's toxic. You just find another job. Honestly, that's kind of how I handle it. I'm like, okay, this is too toxic for me. I'm gonna look for another job. Like, that's just how I go about it, because I don't want to be in that situation. We kind of answered this before, but how do you know when it was time to leave your job? I think you said it. Have you left another job? Was that like the only job?
No, that was the only job where I put in my 2 weeks notice because I just couldn't do it. I had a previous job that I left just because I finished school and it was time to transition. But that was the only job where I felt like I was not myself. And so I'm glad that I've only had that experience.
Yeah. So I will talk about another job that I feel like I knew when it was time to leave, because I felt like that I wasn't learning anything on the job. So I knew it was time to leave because I was just like, I'm literally like, I want to do this. Like, I wanted to do different things. I wanted to be like, I don't want to say, well, challenge, but it's like, I already was doing stuff, and I don't feel like, me personally, I feel like your supervisor should like pour into you to kind of like see what you want to do. But like, people are in all different areas, all different things. And so it's just like, one, I knew it was time to leave when I didn't get the promotion. I knew it was time to leave before that, but it's like, I knew it was time to leave. I had all them dang students, and I was just like, babe, I'm tired of giving your freaking academic things and you not listening, child, and you doing whatever you want. Like, I knew it was time to leave when I was just like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this, because it was burnt out. It was burnt out at the end of the day, because like 5 or 6 advisors left. So when they're like, and then when they don't rehire people, you take on their people. So I was probably like 700 students, and I was a good advisor. Okay, I was good at my job, even though some people try to play me. But it's like, I'm like, what am I getting out of this? And like, how is this going to get me to my next step? Like, what am I going to do? So I knew when I had to leave, when it's like, there's no, in higher ed, I don't know, this is just me, like, there's not really like a career trajectory, kind of like, you know, think about, I don't know, like a doctor, like you go, you're a doctor, you're this, you're that, but like, higher education has so many different careers, or so many different types of, I would say, it's just so much departments and titles and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I know that I want to do something else, and it's time for me to go, because this is not helping me get to what I wanted to do. The other job I wanted to leave, I was just like, I'm literally like, I would hate to say this, was like, I'm literally bored at my job. Like, I don't even get bored at my job, but I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, this is not helping me I'm not gaining any skills so that I'm competitive in this capitalistic society. So I was just like, okay, like, I need to leave this job because I'm not learning anything. So that's kind of how I knew when it was time to leave. And then the other one, when they wasn't giving me no hours, I knew it was time to leave. Okay. And so that's kind of me, when I feel like I'm just kind of like stagnant and like not really knowing what is next. Cause I'm just like, there is a path. I don't know where I'm going, but there is a trajectory that I need to go to. Just seeing stuff, just learning, like, okay, I need to know this for this type of job. I'm just like, if I'm not getting this here, some people are like, you got to do it on your own. And I can hear that, but it's like, your job is really supposed to prepare you, as in like, what you do is supposed to prepare you for your next job. And that's just what I believe. So that's how I knew it was time to leave, because I wasn't getting what I needed out of it anymore.
Opportunity for growth is important. Professional development, even if they're like trainings or certifications, different classes that you want to take. That's what makes you a better employee. That's what fulfills you. It drives you. It motivates you. And so that's important. Nobody wants to go to a job that feels aimless, kind of dead end, like they're not really doing much of anything. Unless it's just a means to an end, compensation, which there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you have a job and it's just a means to an end so you can feed your family, by all means, that's okay as well. Yes,
dead end. That's what's like. It's like feeling like more dead end jobs. But I want to make more money, so I can't be having too many dead end jobs. I need to be able to make some more money. And then also, while I have the time to be like, okay, well, you know, because I've been trying to do different things or whatever. And they're just like, oh, they're like, do you have kids? Are you married? I was like, no. They're like, well, you know how they're like, do it now, because this is how much time. Yeah, I don't even have that much free time, but they just be like, do it now. So I'm like, okay, well, let me figure it out. Because if I do have kids, like I want kids, I'm like, I want to be successful, and so I have to get where I need to get. I'm not saying I'm trying to climb no ladder, baby. Like, you know, top. I let that go. I let that go for real. But it's just like, I still want to make some money. I still want to travel. I still want to go and do things to be able to just take care of myself, right? So that's what I think is important. So yes, let us know, when was the last time you left your job, or how did you know it was time to leave your job, or how you left the job, honestly. If a job is good on paper but bad for your mental health, how do you weigh the pros and cons, or how did you weigh them?
I think for me at the time, my most important consideration, of course, was my income. Like, am I going to be able to still make my rent, make my car payment, pay for my insurance, just my basic needs?
Just adulting.
And I think that it's a privilege I have that I'm a single woman. I am child free. I really have no one to care for but myself. And I say that that's the privilege because I know that there are many people who do not have that privilege. They have dependents, they have loved ones that they have to care for. But that was one of my primary concerns at the time, is will I be able to do this? And fortunately, I did have enough money in savings, and I was able to make that leap at the time. And as I mentioned, I was so overstimulated at the time that I felt like even if I did struggle financially for a short period of time, the peace that I was going to have after leaving that job would be worth it. And so that just demonstrates like how stressed out and overworked I was from that position. I was willing to take the risk of, hey, you may not be able to make your car payment next month. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just figure it out. And so that was one of the things that I just weighed was, will I be able to take care of myself? What will this look like on my resume as well? What will I tell my next employer about what happened? And I weighed that out of my mind as well. And I was like, okay, well, if someone denies me my next role because they don't like that I willfully left this position, then that's just not the job for me. And so I was willing to accept it.
Here, you just gave me the title of the episode, Peace Over a Paycheck. A piece. Okay, what would he say? I keep a piece of steel. Okay, I ain't talking about that piece. But I was going to ask you, like, because it sounds like you didn't have a backup plan for a job. So you just, like, lived off of your savings for, like, how long?
So when I left that job, I had, like, a little part-time gig that I was doing a couple hours here and there, but it was nothing significant. And I was like, okay, I have this little bit of income that's still coming in. It's not significant, but it'll at least feed me. I can keep the lights on for a little bit and I have something in savings. And so I had that little bit of cushion, a little bit of support, but I still knew I was taking a big risk leaving my job. And I was willing to accept that. I didn't have a plan. And I feel like, again, that goes back to the fact that I really don't have anyone else to look for. Like, the way that I was looking at it is, if this becomes a dumpster fire, the only person that's really going to be directly impacted is me. And I was willing to take that risk. Sometimes I make horrible life decisions like that, but I think that that's what you have to do sometimes in life. You have to take some really risky decisions, and I just made the leap.
Oh yeah, and how long? So was it like a couple of months?
I think I applied for the position that I have now in maybe October of that year, and I had quit that job in February.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, from February to October, I was working my little part-time job that I had previously that was bringing in a little bit of income, but not a lot. And I just survived. I made it work somehow.
What? So that was like 9 months. That's a birth of a baby. And we ain't got no kids though.
But the peace that I had in that period, like, I go back through my pictures in my phone sometime and I just look at all the pictures that I took of myself back then. I'm like, the joy, like, I can see the peace, the happiness, the light behind my eyes. And I'm like, it was worth it. It worked out.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. And it was worth it. And you like, I just have a part-time job. Because I think some people need to know that too. Like, if you, like, it's also okay to just have a part-time job if you don't have a full-time job. I mean, take it as a risk however you want. But yeah, like, you have a part-time job, especially if you have savings. And that's another thing too. Saying that you're like a single, no kids, and then talking about money and resources. It's like, okay, well, make sure you're saving if you do want to, like, you know, take that risk. Because I used to listen to this podcaster. She was always talking about like fun employment fund, and it was just like savings. Just, well, it was really like an effort plan, like a you know. So saving money just in case you want to be like effort, like I want to quit or something like that. So that's kind of good to kind of know for like a timeline. Do you still save now more like that, or do you just like, you kind of just like live since you're not really in that kind of space anymore? I
would love to say that I still save. I think that I've become so comfortable in where I'm at now that I'm just like out here doing side quests, traveling whenever I want, doing what I want to do. And I plan to get to a place eventually to where I am saving. So that eventually, if I want to leave this job and I just want to kind of chill for a while after I've had a couple, years of experience on my belt, then I can do that,
Yes, that's so cool. Yeah, you do be traveling. That's kind of like your self-care. That's like something good for your mental health. I love that. So this is kind of like the last question for this topic. How do you rebuild confidence after a negative work experience?
I do a lot of self-reflection, a lot of introspection, complete transparency. Like, this is something that I struggle with a lot in my work. currently, I work with a lot of people who are academics. They have PhDs, much more educated and experienced than me, I feel. And so sometimes that can leave me feeling a little bit self-conscious because I feel like I'm the newbie in the room. And so I do a lot of reflection and I examine, okay, well, what is making me feel this way? What is the evidence that shows me that this is true? Is there even evidence that this is true? And I actually go through these steps in my mind, and eventually I get to a point where what you're believing, Keisha, is not even true. There's no evidence that what you've done shows that you're incompetent or that you can't do this job. And so I think being able to just examine how I feel, where are these feelings coming from, and being able to stick with that and be comfortable with it helps me a lot.
Okay, I think I'm gonna take a different approach, and by any means, I am not saying that the bomb.com are like, saying I don't really like the word saying humble or whatever, but you'll understand when I say it. So, how do you rebuild confidence after a negative work experience? I don't really feel like I have to rebuild confidence because I know that negative work experience wasn't towards me. Well, it was a negative work experience, but I know I didn't cause it.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is that like me working with these toxic women, like in a toxic work environment, that's not me, that's on you. So, and then knowing that it's just not me, that you're acting like that when I see what's going on, and I'm like, there's a problem with you, it's not with me. So that's kind of how I would say internalize it, because I'm just like, it was just like a couple of different issues, and I was seeing stuff, and it's like, you have a problem with me. And I do say this a little bit, having Black women bosses are just, I might get shunned, but just like, it's just like, what are we doing? I feel like they are a little bit more, I would say, I don't want to say harsh, but kind of harsh might not be the word, but they're just like a different kind of experience. But I do understand that, they might have a different type of boss, right? So we can say that all the way, but there's still a certain way that you approach people and how you talk to people. And so I have to remember that, hey, that's how they handle their business. And if that's the type of environment they want to be in, that's fine. But I also remember, too, how you're saying that it's a privilege. I'm kid free. I don't have no man. I don't have to stay in that environment. So you have to stay there because maybe you have a family. You built something there. Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I used to live in Atlanta, so I worked at a school in Atlanta. I don't have to stay in Atlanta. I don't have to keep being here. This might be all you know, baby. This isn't all I know. And so with me, I just take it like, I'm a world traveler. I can move wherever. I could do this. So sometimes I'm just like, you're so gun-ho on this job, capitalism, and that this is your career. I have things outside of my job. So I think about that too. I think about how you are with other people and what your thing is. And so if I have a different experience, like I don't really feel like I have to rebuild my confidence, because I feel like I know I'm a good worker. I know I can do what I'm asked to do. If you don't know how to be a supervisor, that's not on me. You chose to be a supervisor. And so even another thing, like I don't think it was like a negative work experience. I feel like I came to do what I was to do. If you didn't like it, if you didn't really care for what I was doing, you could have came and told me that. Like, you can be like, okay, well, can we do this, can we do that? If I have the autonomy over what I want to do, I'm going to do what I want to do for the job. So I feel like I haven't had to rebuild my confidence. I know that I'm a good worker. I know what I can do. I know my value. And that's just, you didn't see that value. And so since you didn't see it, you lost me. Like, so that's how I feel about it with anything. Like, I feel like I'm a valuable person. I have good ideas. I share things. I'm creative. Like, when I'm in my element, I can do what I do. So at the end of the day, my confidence is already good. So it's just SOL on you. That's all.
I love that perspective. I think that's very healthy to have. Knowing that you have things outside of work that fulfill you, as you mentioned, like having a full life, as I stated, things that guide you and give you passion outside of your profession. I think that's healthy. And you mentioned about having Black women bosses specifically. I've been blessed, I believe, to have positive experiences with Black bosses. In fact, my current boss is Black and she's phenomenal. She's a millennial boss, which is like a whole nother conversation we can have about millennial bosses. But I think that there's I think that there's like a whole other conversation we could have about like the nuances of relationships between Black women and then how that may differ in community, family, and then in the workplace. Because whenever you have these different dynamics of power, capitalism, professional development, like there's so many like key elements and moving parts into it that can kind of muddy the waters and kind of make us like turn on each other, you know, in ways that we normally may not turn on each other. And so I think that that's a whole other conversation. I'm just glad that I've had those positive experiences. But I think as I mentioned before, being able to self-reflect, you know, being able to let myself know, like, okay, it's okay to make mistakes, even if you did do something wrong or you articulated something the wrong way. Like, you can make up for it. People make mistakes, and so self-reflection, introspection is key. But I'm gonna start assuming some of that power that you just articulated as well, and knowing that I'm here, I'm competent. They wouldn't have given me the job if I wasn't, and so I appreciate that you shared your perspective.
Yes, now I'm like, dang, I should do some self-reflection. Because baby, I'll be like, forget it. But even, because I will say now I have actually met with a Black woman at my job, and she seems like she could really be like behind me and stuff like that. It took me a while or whatever, but she like poured into me, she talked to me. So it definitely depends on where you're at in your journey and just, you know, how you can see it. But I've had like 3 Black women supervisors and our bosses, and I don't know, child, that's all I'm gonna say. And then I had one that wasn't my supervisor, but then she tried to be my supervisor, and she tried to be so she had to be like try to be so micromanaging. And I'm like, that's one thing, people don't know how to talk to people, and you can't try to be a supervisor without knowing how to talk to people. And it's just like, you don't have to come off like you're so rude or you know it all or anything like that. When I went to talk to this lady at my job, she's like, oh, I'm honored that you want to talk to me. I was like, oh, that's so sweet, girl. You were up here, you're doing this. And it's just like, you feel honored. Like, I was nervous to talk to her, but she's like, no, I'm honored that you want to come talk to me. Like, that's the type of embracing that you should have. Not like, oh, you need to do this, and like, why aren't you doing this? And oh yeah, this one lady, when I told you that I didn't get that promotion, she was really the reason why I didn't get the promotion. And she gonna come to me talking about something, oh, I know that you're a good job at your job, but no, you didn't know, because you're talking behind my back and you're saying something to other people when I was doing my job. And first, I don't even know you, and that's the thing about it. You're not even my supervisor, and you're sitting here trying to stop me from getting the job because I don't talk to you, because I don't even know you. But of course, you know my name, and my name has been coming up in these meetings because I'm one of the top advisors on my team. You're not gonna play me, and you can get played by anybody else. One thing you have to do, you gotta have a voice, okay? You gotta speak up and say stuff, because you're literally your only like advocate. Like, you have to advocate for yourself. And I feel like I do be advocating for myself, so I don't know what it is, but it's just like, no, like, well, I do know this, because like, Black women's voices be shunned. That's why I'm like, I even have the podcast, like, our voices need to be heard, and my voice is going to be heard, and that's why I be telling people. I just told this lady the other day, like, no, your voice needs to be heard. Like, you need to be able to say what you have to say, and you're only going to get into so many rooms if they know your name. So I was just like, boom, that's that. And so that's kind of how I think about it. I'm like, I'm young, I can find another job, child. I can go here, baby. I go back home, I move with my parents. I can't worry. That's how, when I had to go back with my parents, I said, that's how you know I hated my job. Because my parents live in the country. So, like, I moved back home. And I was sober. I was ready to go.
I've had a experience where I had to move back home several years ago, and it's humbling. It is very humbling after you've moved away, you've had your independence for some time, you've experienced your autonomy, and then you feel like you're experiencing a setback because you have to go back home. And we live in such like a individualistic society in America, where everybody is told to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do it on your own. And so whenever you do have to go back home, it feels like, oh, well, I'm a failure. And so I think we need to like decondition ourselves out of that. Like in other cultures, collectivist cultures, like it's
They be at
normal
home, yeah.
to be at home until you're married.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Mhm.
And even after married,
Mhm.
sometimes people live with their parents and their loved ones. But yeah,
They do. But you know what's so funny, and I'm not trying to say this because I'm not like horse, but I really didn't find no shame moving back home. Now, if I was in college, I feel like college was different because like I was like, I can't go back home, baby. I don't got no degree. I don't got nothing. Like I feel like that was a more shameful time going back home. But when I came back home with a job, so I know this girl, she was like, no, go back home. You can come back in if you want to. Like it's like Atlanta's not going nowhere. Nothing is going anywhere. So I think in my mind, I was like, I know what I want to do. I want to change my career. I want to do. So it's like at this point, I'm applying for jobs in Atlanta, but I know my first job I applied for, it was like 600 applicants. There's just no way. So it's like it's so many people. So I was just like, I didn't feel bad that I was coming home. Did I want to come home? No, I didn't want to go home. But I didn't feel shame because it wasn't like I was coming home because I couldn't make it out there. It's like I was coming home because I don't want to say I couldn't find a job, and I was like, I don't want to live here no more. If I wanted to stay in Atlanta, I could have maybe, like you said, I could have quit and I could have just you could DoorDash, you could do whatever out there. I DoorDash, I make money, but like, I was like, I don't care about Atlanta that much to sit here and be like, oh, I live in Atlanta. Like, I don't care to sacrifice. I don't care to be like sacrificing or being like sleeping on people's couches to live in Atlanta. Like, I didn't care about that. So I was like, there's a home. And also too, right? My parents have a house. So there's a home, there's a room there, and I'm just going to use it while I can because my parents might move, they might not always have that. So I was like, I'm under 30. I have a house that I can go back to. You know, I found a job. It's not like I came here without a job. Now, I don't know if I would have did that. But so it's like, it was just kind of, in that sense, it was kind of a privilege. Like there was a house for me because they wasn't going to give me no money, but they was like, you come home. So I was like, in that, I didn't really feel shame. I was just like, yeah. And they were like, oh, you moved back? People like, oh, you, I'm like, yeah, I didn't like Atlanta. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I never really wanted to move to Atlanta, to be quite honest. I just did it because it was COVID, and I was just like, oh, I'm just going to move. Let me try it, right? And so I think something like that's okay. Like, I didn't like living there, so I was ready to go. So that's why I don't feel like I felt any shame. Now, had it been different circumstances, like maybe I lost my apartment or lost my job or something like that, it might be different, but I don't feel like I felt shame in that time because also it's a pandemic. It's so much going on, and I just had the opportunity to come up here, start another job, and kind of go in a different direction. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't. That's what I was saying. If I was in college, I'd been like, girl, I gotta go home. What, girl? Okay. But yeah, so that's that part. But I don't want to feel like it's not humble, but I don't feel like I'm like such a like, oh, hi, like, I don't care, because there is different things. But in those situations, Atlanta has nothing for me. I have nothing there, so except some people that I met. But other than that, no, I don't even care. But yes, that was our first topic. Do you have anything else to say about that topic?
We had a really good conversation, and I just encourage people, despite the chaos that we're currently living in. I know that it's difficult to do, but to take time to ground yourself, even if it's just a matter of 5 minutes, especially if you're a person that works maybe 2 or even 3 jobs, take at least 5 minutes a day, ground yourself, because your body, your nervous system needs that. There's a lot going on locally, at the state level, at the federal level. And so our systems are constantly like this. And I just want for people to have time to ground themselves.
Yes, nationally, worldwide, everything. I love that. So much happening. So our next segment is called like Digital Dilemma. So basically it's just like technology and like, you know, in the workplace and how we deal with that as we're talking about workplace cultures. This was a known girlfriends because we don't, social media, you know, what's in this. But speaking about just how you interact maybe on social media with your coworkers, if you do or if you don't. So I'm just going to ask a couple of questions, like give you a scenario and then you're going to say yeah or no. So coworkers on social media, do you accept it? Do you ignore it? Or do you decline it? It's kind of like, what's your boundary around
coworkers? No. It is not that. Yeah, they don't request me.
Okay.
I've had maybe 2 or 3 that requested me on LinkedIn, as you mentioned. I'm also a person that does not keep up with LinkedIn. I refuse to become a LinkedIn person. I only use that like as a means to an end for like community work that I do. But no, I'm not okay with coworkers on social media.
That's so funny. I actually did have coworkers on social media, but I worked in the media company then, and so it was kind of that, but that wasn't a good idea because, you know, it went left. But the last job that was toxic, I do have a couple of them on my page, like my friends that I met, but I added them after I left. And one of my friends was like, because, you know, I do social media and stuff like that. So I added her on a different page. She's like, girl, this is not your real page. I was like, no, girl, I do not accept coworkers on my real page. But then I ended up getting her on my regular page or whatever. I was like, no, I don't, because I don't want y'all knowing now. I don't want y'all knowing now. I actually do have a coworker now on my page, but we met in a different environment. I didn't know that we worked together.
Oh, I see.
So, but she's blocked on my stories. You can't see my stories. You can see everything else. You can't see the stories, child. Yeah, so I have a couple coworkers now, but like what I said, I work in higher ed, so we have like different departments, so it's not like you're not going to really know what's going on. It's not like you work like right with me. Right. But I have blocked some bosses and stuff, and I don't have time for that. And LinkedIn, I didn't really connect with my coworkers. Some people do send me invites and stuff like that. But I really didn't want to be connected to like a couple of my jobs, so I was just like, no. So yeah. Adding your job online, professional branding or privacy?
Yeah, I prefer privacy, especially because of the things that I'm involved in outside of my work can directly conflict sometimes with what I do for a living. And so I may share certain things related to my work, but I don't put like I work here and list the dates on my Facebook page. I don't do any of that.
You know, you don't know where I work at until I get a new job. I don't put where I work at until I leave. LinkedIn don't need to know nothing. I just did it one time. I was like, I worked here. No, you don't need to know. Y'all don't need to be so nosy. Find a resume. You'll see it when I apply. Yeah, I don't really talk about any stuff about my job on social media. I'm more private when it comes to like where I work. But I guess not what I do. It kind of just depends on what it is. Like I'm like, I work in higher education or whatever. Like I'm academic advisor. I mean, I did do like a YouTube video, like being an academic advisor, but that was just like a video of me. But like nobody knew what school I worked at. So I've done stuff like that, but that's just because that's just me. Posting work wins, like does celebrating career achievements online affect stress or peer pressure? Like do you, I guess, share your achievements online?
Yeah, I actually just shared some on my personal Facebook page. Like there was a local report on suicide data that was released, and like that's directly my work. That's literally what I do for work. So I was proud to like share that. I was in the news, and so I shared that on my page. Just to like spread awareness. But as we were talking about before, identity outside of work, like I'm very, very intentional about that. I don't want to be known as Lakeisha, the girl that works in suicide. I want sometimes she talks about suicide, and sometimes she talks about this, and sometimes she talks about that. Like I have a personality. I'm a whole person. And so I try not to put too much of my work stuff on there. And sometimes I just want to be like goofy, carefree Lakeisha and post like memes that are ridiculous and inappropriate, and I don't want for people to be like, why is she posting this? Typically she's posting like professional stuff. So yeah, I
use the posting work wins. I use that for LinkedIn. I post my stuff on LinkedIn. I haven't posted a lot in general, but I celebrate my career achievements on LinkedIn mostly. I don't really do it too much I don't do it on Facebook. I just tell my friends, or I talk to my friends about it, but I don't know, I kind of keep them to myself. I do feel like even when LinkedIn, it's like it is a lot of peer pressure. That's why I think I got a lot off of LinkedIn, because it's like I don't have no update, I don't have no this, I don't have nothing to talk about. I don't got nothing like my job is not my identity. So
Right.
I also don't feel the pressure to share
And that
everything
is
so much.
healthy, that like external pressure to always have something to update.
Mhm.
We shouldn't feel like
Yeah.
that. Like I think that this is my just personal opinion. I think it's okay to sometimes feel content in life.
Mhm.
Like maybe you aren't getting a promotion.
Mhm.
Maybe you aren't climbing
Yeah.
the professional ladder.
Mhm.
Maybe you're just content making X amount of money
Mhm.
and taking care of your family, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that some of the like problems or issues with LinkedIn is that it
Mhm.
makes people feel like they have to
To have achievement all the time, and it's like, no, girl, I went to work, I did my job, and then boom. Like, and it is crazy because like I am, like the lady I was telling you about who was pointing to me, she's like, I will nominate you for like on a committee. Now, if I get this committee, I might say it because it's a prestigious committee, right? But I've done a community-based institute. I've done a workshop. I'm in a different, but I have not even shared. I have the picture. I'm gonna post it, and I have not even posted the pictures. Like, I just haven't did it, and I'm just like, I don't really feel led to do it as much, you know, too. And it's just like, well, then probably it'll kind of show where I work at too. So that's why that could be why I haven't really shared too much of it either. But I teach a gym 101 class. I feel like I did share like, I'm teaching Gym 101. You might know I work at, but I don't think I have put it on LinkedIn either, but it's definitely on my resume, you know what I'm saying? But I kind of share that just cause I work in higher ed. So I'm like, okay, I teach a Gym 101, like people are going back to school or whatever. But yeah, I don't feel like the pressure like, I gotta say it. I gotta put it out there. And just much like you, I be posting other things. I be sharing stuff. And I really want my personal page to kind of show my personality. Like, you're going to know, every time somebody see me, they're going to know I'm traveling or I'm working on a podcast. And I'm like, that's what my Facebook is. Like, this is just me. This is just who I am. I'm not higher ed all the way talking and stuff like that. Like, that's just not me. So I think that's good. Workplace complaints, commenting or engaging. I guess, like, do you engage in that? Do you comment on that? I guess it'll be online, but I feel like that was kind of hard. I guess it's more in the workplace because I don't know if you don't follow people online. So
do you mean like complaints from other people about my work, or about, do you mean like complaints coming from community, or?
I guess if I think about workplace complaint, like people could be complaining about the job online or something like that, like, or if you are complaining about your job, like you complain about your job online or engage in that.
I have to be very, very mindful of what I say about my job online. Internally, I will have conversations with my coworkers about maybe some things that kind of rub me the wrong way, and then maybe we'll talk to one of our supervisors about it. But I don't say things online about my complaints. No.
Yeah, I don't complain online about my job. I just call my friends. But because I do work at I work in higher education, I've seen my job online. So I have seen something online, and I think I might have commented on something about it. Like it was something, or I might have just looked at it and just scrolled. So like, because I work in higher ed, my school can be online, right? So, but I don't really comment it. But then I also know I don't comment. But then I don't have anything that shows that I work at these institutions. So I'm like, okay, I feel a little better. But that's why I don't, because I don't want people like, oh, this person worked. You don't need to know that. So yeah. So I don't really comment on it. I look at it and I might like send it to my friends like, why is my school, why is my school, why is this like that? But I don't really talk about it online for real. You just answered, you said office gossip. What's office gossip online? But maybe office gossip in general. It says, how do you protect your mental well-being with office gossip?
I try not to engage, to be honest. I recently had an experience where I was with a couple of people and they were just like kikiing, just tea about what's going on. And I might listen, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not gonna sit there and like fester in it. I'm definitely not gonna sit with people that I don't trust and give my opinions on it, because you just never know like who is going to travel with what you say. And so I try not to engage in it. For the most part, the workplace that I have now is pretty like chill, laid back. My team is awesome. We don't have a lot of complaints. And so I don't have too much going on, but I try not to engage in it. Previously in the past, with a prior workplace, that was all that went on, and I literally would go to work and put in my little earbuds, and I would wear my hair over my ears, so nobody knew that Lakeisha was ignoring everybody until they come over and tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to be in
because
it.
I literally had to like buffer myself against that type of environment.
Okay, I can see that. I've had a couple environments. One environment, it wasn't really gossipy because people would just say whatever they had to say to the person. So it wasn't gossip. It was more like fun. But I worked in media, so it wasn't really gossipy, honestly, at all. We just like talked or whatever. Now they could gossip about other things, but stuff was said, and then actually, you're probably like gossip wasn't to me because they could have been talking about me, but that could be another conversation. But you gossip about your boss, or like you talk about your boss kind of or whatever. So I feel like that is, but it was just like a one friend that I trusted, one person that I knew, and that's kind of how I talk about it. But I don't really talk about it to the other person. My other job that I said that was toxic, I feel like it was cliquish. So but I don't feel like it was gossipy. I just feel like it was cliquish. Like people hang with these people, they hang with these people, and then you talk, and then you hang out with your people and you just talk. But it wasn't like we're talking about this gossip. We really talking about the job and we talking about the rules. So it was more like gossip about like, why didn't we just have this meeting and they told us to do this? So it wasn't. I don't really feel like it was gossip because it wasn't about people per se. So yeah, and kind of my current role is not really gossip. We kind of just work. We don't even see each other. Like it's just different. So it's just like I'm kind of to myself. So there's no gossip because we work different at times, different days or whatever. So it's not really gossipy for real. So then that's kind of good as well too. I don't really do gossip like that. So that's what I would say about that. Sharing personal life. How much should coworkers see? I guess this is hard because if you don't share you don't share your personal life with your coworkers because if they're not online. So I don't have my coworkers online, so I do share my personal life online, but my coworkers wouldn't see it because they don't have me on social media. But so I feel like that's the one that's kind of hard. I don't feel like this is a digital dilemma. This could just be a dilemma in general. Like I don't know if you share your personal story, like your life, with your coworkers at work.
So that's a testy question for me because I'm in this phase of my life where I'm trying to be more vulnerable with the people around me. I'm working more in community around like organizing, and I want to pull people into that work, and in order to pull people in, you got to be vulnerable. You got to share your personal stories with people, and so I'm trying to figure out how to do that in a delicate fashion with the people that I work with so that they feel like compelled to share their own stories, and we develop this like intimate relationship where I can get them involved in some of the work that I'm doing. But at the same time, like they don't need to know everything about me. There are certain coworkers who I've told them some wild stories about my travel adventures and like we kikied and had a time. And then there's other coworkers where I'm like, I'm never gonna tell you anything about what I do on the weekends. And so I think it's just a matter of like feeling out your relationships and testing, who am I comfortable with? What can I share? What are my limits? And deciding if that's even a relationship that you want. Because I think also, too, if you're a person that just wants to have very basic platonic relationships, high and buys with your coworkers, it's fine as well.
See, I feel like I'm in a tough spot because like my last job, although it was toxic, I created like friendships there and stuff like that. We really didn't we didn't ask what we did on the weekend because sometimes we'd be hanging out on the weekend. So like, you already know like, we hung out this weekend or something like that. Or they would already know what I do because like we were cool. My last job, I didn't really hang out with people, and it was a different environment. It was more older people, so it's more older people. So it was like, I came from a younger like co-working to like an older one where people have families, they have kids. I moved back here, so it was different. And so, to your point, you were like talking to your coworkers. Like some coworkers, I won't tell nothing because you don't know who you're talking in front of. And now I learned that I started talking, and I was like, I was seeing stuff, and I said, I'm not gonna say nothing to you. Like I don't trust you. Like I know if I tell you something, child, you're gonna tell the whole thing. Like nah. So I don't say anything. So I'll be like, at my last job, they're like, because I told you I live with my parents, and she'd be like, when are you gonna move? When are you gonna move? Girl, I don't need you to know when I'm gonna move. Like, who you gonna tell? Like, you don't need to know that information. And like, are you gonna help me move? Like, I'm so confused. So I was just like, when people are too nosy, I'm like, no, I'm not telling them anything. And they're like, how was your weekend? It was great. I was at home. It was great. What did you do? I just slept, girl. I done went on a trip there. Oh, it was great, girl.
I used to do the same thing with a coworker. that would be very antagonistic. He was one of those people that would deliberately go around and try to pick fights with people. Yeah, just very, very much an asshole.
He don't have nothing to do outside of work.
I could tell some stories about this man, but God be with him. He used to go around and try to pick fights with people, and I would be one of those people where he'd come and be like, "Hey, Lakeisha, how you doing?" I'd be like, "Fine," and I just give him a blank stare. And eventually, over time, like he would learn, okay, Lakeisha, I'm just gonna leave her alone because she's nice with other people, but she's not very nice and cozy with me, so I'm gonna leave her alone. And I think over time, he learned like, Lakeisha's just not going to tolerate me. Yeah. So I get what you're saying. Like certain people, you just have to feel them out because you don't want to go there.
You don't know. And I was like, yeah. They're like, oh, how was your weekend? It was good. Now my job, now they're like, how was your weekend? What'd you do? Nothing. One time I did something, I said, oh, I'm planning my birthday party. I still up to them. I was like, hey, it's my birthday. I'm going to be out, so it don't matter. Okay, that's what it is. Like, and I feel like birthdays are different, but it's like, no, you're not going to really get to know too much about me. And now in my space environment, it does depend on how welcoming. Like when I was at my last job, I was on like the committee. It was literally called the care committee. So we would celebrate people's birthdays. We would do like anniversaries, like, you know, of people. So it was kind of like, I'm on the care committee. So I'm talking to people of like somebody was sick or something like that. We would do that. And we never had that I've never had that at other jobs. So it was just kind of that environment. And so kind of like, that's kind of what I miss versus now. It's not like a care committee. It's like a smaller type of, I would say like team or whatever. So we don't have that type of thing. Different people do different things and stuff like that. So I don't really overshare. I don't really share anything, honestly. I just go to work and I just go home. But that work culture and dynamic is kind of like, it has to be embedded or it has to be, or it's not going to be there. And so I'm just like, well, you know, this is the season where I'm in, and it's like, it's kind of sad because I usually make friends with my coworkers because I don't believe in that. Like you can't be friends with your coworkers. I necessarily don't believe in that because I'm like, that's who you see the most. That's who you hang out with. So you kind of really want to be like at least friendly. And so if I feel like my friendliness isn't taken, well, I'm just gonna be like, well, okay, I guess I'm not friendly. Like keep it into myself and I'll just do my own thing. So that's how I feel about it. We kind of talked about this one, like LinkedIn versus Instagram. We kind of separate ours. We don't keep it together. Definitely, no, it's two different things. And I would say we probably don't get tagged at work events because do you get tagged at work events on social media?
No, there may have been maybe one or two times whenever they sent out like a public facing newsletter and it'll have a picture of me. Maybe I went to a community event and it was work related, but they don't like tag my username. I would not allow that whatsoever.
Yeah, when I started my job, they're like, oh, okay, take a picture and post it on LinkedIn. I said, I will not, but it'll be on my camera roll. No, ma'am. No, I'm sorry. All right, bye. No. And then the last one I would say is job search visibility. The mental health impact of like announcing our hiding career moves, you know, like, cause LinkedIn will be like open for work, but you're like, I want my boss to see that, or like, do you share that you're job searching on social media, or do you kind of just like?
No, back whenever I quit working for the state, I didn't announce anything. I'm one of those people that just like do stuff and you probably won't know that I've done it until you know, sometime later, particularly related to work, because I just feel like that's something that's, I don't know, it's more intimate to me. As far as like where I'm at and what I'm doing, and on my social media, I want people to just know Lakeisha, not what Lakeisha is. So.
I feel like I'm a little bit more open, but also it was a different time. So during COVID, I was actually supposed to move to China to go to teach abroad. If y'all listen to this, y'all already know this, but so I was supposed to teach abroad, but China, COVID happened. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go to China, just everything that's going on. So I was like, I'm looking for a job. Okay, now was anybody hiring? I don't know. But then that's when I moved to Atlanta. So I kind of share like on LinkedIn, like, hey, I'm looking to move to Atlanta. Is anybody hiring? Something like that. And I actually, people like DM me, I message people. I did like informational interviews with people. I like did that. So I think it just depends on kind of what space you're in. And I was going to a whole new environment. And that was one thing that social media was good for me to be able to connect. I connected with some people. I ended up getting the job, and then I just, was just like doing it like that. And then, I didn't do it when I came back here because I already had a job, so I didn't really say it. But sometimes I'll be like, I don't ever put like not hiring or like looking for a job or whatever, like open to hire or whatever. I don't do that as much. But I will like message people, be like, hey, this job, or like if I see a job that I'm interested in, but I don't really like put out there like, oh, I'm looking for a job. I don't really do that too much. I kind of just find something, I just look and I just go and I'm like, okay, are y'all hiring? And then that's kind of how I do it. So, but I don't really feel like I hide career moves. I don't know. But I guess I don't really share them either. I just, it kind of depends. Like I work in digital literacy, so I kind of may talk about digital literacy. Like I can be like, oh, I'm a trainer, I do this. So I feel like I kind of talk about maybe the title or the role of what I do versus like, I guess, where I work at.
Right.
So, yeah.
Maybe it's one of those things of where you're not necessarily like private about it, but it's just like not public. Like
yes.
It's kind of in this gray area where it's not that I'm just being private or some secret, but it's just not a public thing that I share.
Yeah, because actually I have been thinking a little bit more, just kind of even building my platform. I was like, maybe I should talk about like digital literacy more on social media. Like I was like, literacy. Yeah, because I'm really passionate about literacy with like writing and reading. I was like, and I literally am a digital literacy trainer, right? But then I'm like, but how do I do that? And then it's like, how you're kind of saying like, not overstepping your boundaries with work, but it's like, kind of like, how do I do it? And then I have that conflict of work or whatever. So I don't know. So I thought about that too. But yeah, I thought about talking about digital literacy, but it's like kind of what lane do I want to go down? Like, then I gotta be like, oh, I'm a digital literacy trainer, But yeah, so I don't really talk about it too much, but I have thought about it more recently, just because I'm passionate about technology. I'm passionate about like traveling and stuff. So I've just been trying to figure out how I can kind of put it together a little bit. So yeah, so I'm still thinking about that. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's still in there. So I might be on, it might be on there. It's not job search, but I might talk a little bit more about it. So it might come out, but I'm just not going to be like, okay, I work here, do this, or whatever. Because now my stuff is actually more community driven, even though I work in higher education. So yeah, it's kind of, and even that, like I talk about that, like you could work at the school, but people work with students, some people don't work with students. There's administration, there is so much stuff, but I never actually even thought about talking about that, but I might one day. So yeah. Well, those are our digital dilemmas. Let us know which ones you like, which ones you do, which ones you don't do. And as we wrap up, as I just said, I love travel. So my last segment is a postcard segment. So it's just something to give advice to the listeners for something that they can take away. And so this is like you're writing something on a postcard, but you're just answering it. So it's, what is some advice or a resource you would like to share with someone who may be ready to quit their job because of their mental health?
Well, I work in suicide prevention, as I mentioned before, so I would be remiss if I did not mention 988. It's the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Many people may have heard of it, may not have, but anyhow, it's a free line. You can text, you can call anytime, and it's free. And you don't necessarily have to be suicidal. I tell people all the time, if you just need somebody to talk to, you're just not feeling it, you just need to chat, text or call somebody, and you just need to talk about, hey, these people at my job are really giving me the blues and I'm thinking about quitting. Well, they can help you talk through that.
Oh, okay.
And so I encourage people to reach out to it. There's no shame in seeking help for your mental health or when you're just feeling down.
Okay, that's really, really good. I didn't even know that. I knew about the suicide bridge, but I didn't know that you could just call and talk to them about that. Some advice that I would say, kind of to your point though, you're like, oh, how you have like, you had a cushion. Like if you have, if you're able to save something, if you're able to go back home, like if your job is so detrimental to you, some advice I would do is say, look for another job. But also if you can't quit your job and you afford it, go on a gap year, go on a gap month, okay? Do something that brings you joy, do something that fulfills you. Or also, if you can't leave your job, find a hobby. Like literally find a hobby. If it's podcasting, listening to them, traveling, like writing, like find a hobby. I feel like right now, especially for single women, but like, well, single women, no kids, like people are doing more hobbies and stuff like that. Like find something outside of your job so your job doesn't drive you crazy. So you have something to look forward to after you're 5, or if you get off at 4 or whatever, 6, like I would say find a hobby that can maybe help with your mental health and do something for fun flow. I did say that I work a lot, right? But one of my jobs now, I'm just like, I'm doing, it's kind of for fun. It's kind of like, I want to do it. So even if it is a job, like find something that you want to do for fun. It can be a job or it can be a hobby, but I would say that would be my advice to somebody that's kind of like in a situation. Rest, find a hobby, and then start searching for another job. So, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think we covered it all. We had a pretty robust conversation.
Yes, it was a lot all at once. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you have not watched Girlfriends, go check it out. If this is your first time coming to the Den, I really, really hope you enjoy this episode. Shout out to my guests. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And also subscribe to our channel. We do have like the audio on the podcasting app as well, any app that you listen to. We upload every Wednesday at 12 on YouTube and then 5 in the morning for podcast audio. And we would love to, bring you into the Den because this is a safe space for women to share their stories. So thank you so much for listening. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.